Okay, everybody. All right, everybody pile in. Hey, it was knocked over the computer. Yeah, it's a little, people walking by it. It could cause a disaster ultimately. Yep. Yeah, because it did something better than that. All right, we'll have a little kirtan. Everybody's all right?
Yes.
Good. Happy?
Yes.
Happy, healthy,
Yes.
whatever. Ready? So we'll chant Rajadam Maham Mamrita. Does everyone know that song? No. That's Jai Radhe Jai Krishna. Yeah. Anyway, a little challenging. Yeah. Jai Radhe Jai Krishna Jai Vrindavan. She Govinda Govina Govinda Govina. Getting over time. Getting over Kalani Una Jaya Jaya Baba. Kalani Yamuna Jaya Jaya Baba. Shigadava Shivata Nada Shakana Shigadava Shivata Nada Shakana Yakansamani Koilao Shinanana Jaya 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 Krishna Jaya Yatina Sundari Jaya Jaya Purnamasi Jaya Vira Nakari Jaya Jaya Gopi Shara Vrindavana Panas Jaya 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 Krishna Santa Bhakti Dveshara Jaya Ram Jaya Rohini Nanda Jaya Ram Rohini Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Vasi Jaya Jaya Dveshapati Jaya Nagatanya Jaya Jai Hara Govinda Shirasa Chandra Jaya Jaya Radha Shirasana Jaya 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 Rasalila Sama Aduna Jaya 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 Rasa Sarva Rasa Jaya Jaya Arakiya, Arakiya, Rajate, Rajara. That's a Krishna, that's a go, hey, namaste. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Jaya Radhe, Jaya. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paramvacharya, also Teta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Sabaya Chalana, the Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Shai Makunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Mathuranam Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Manamai Ki Jai, Shrimati Lasadeva Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gold Premananda. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prastaya Budle Shimani Bhaktivedanta Samani Chinamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharni Nivashesha Shanivadi Dejatarni. So, oh, there you are. Take the guitar away. Okay. So, let me read the translation to this prayer by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. All glories to Radha Krishna and the divine forest of Vrindavan. All glories to the three presiding deities of Vrindavan, Shri Govinda, Gopinath, and Madan Mohan. All glories to Shaimakund, Radhakund, Govardhan Hill, and the Yamuna River, Kalindi. All glories to the great forest known as Mahavana. All glories to Keshigat, the Vamsivat tree, and the 12 forests of Braja. At these places, the son of Nanda, Shri Krishna, performed all of his pastimes. All glories to Krishna's divine father and mother, Nanda and Yashoda. All glories to the cowherd boys headed by Sri Ram. All glories to the cows and calves of Braja. All glories to Radha, Radha's divine father and mother, Vishnuvanu, and the beautiful Kirtidam. All glories to Purnamasi, the mother of Sandipani Muni. All glories to the young coward maidens of Braja. All glories to Gopishwara Shiva, who resides in Vrindavan in order to protect the holy Dham. All glories to Krishna's funny Brahmin friend, Madhu Mango. All glories to Ramagat, where Lord Balaram performed his rasa dance. All glories to Lord Balaram, the son of Rohini. All glories to all the residents of Vrindavan. All glories to the wives of the proud Vedic Brahmanas. All glories to the wives of the Kaliya serpent. Through pure devotion, they all obtained the lotus feet of Lord Govinda. All glories to the place where the rasa dance of Sri Krishna was performed. All glories to Radha and Shama. All glories to the divine rasa dance, which is the most beautiful of all Lord Krishna's pastimes. All glories to the mellow of conjugal love, which is the most excellent of all rasas, and is propagated in Braja by Sri Krishna in the form of the divine Parakiya Bhav. Remembering the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda's consort, Shri Jadava Devi, this very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna, sings the Sankirtan of the holy name. So Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. So now we are going to read from the Nectar Devotion, comment on the Nectar Devotion. So Omagana Timida Dasha Gananjana Shlakya Chakshur Unmeditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So basically, over the last few days, we've been reading the section of the Nectar Devotion that deals with the characteristics of a pure devotee. Everybody remembers that. So yesterday we were talking about people who, okay, on the computer. Thank you. Okay. We were talking about people who imitated the different symptoms of ecstatic love, and they're known as sahajas. So we'll read a little bit about that. They pretend that Krishna is talking with them in the form of a boy, or else one may pretend that Radharani and Krishna both have come to him and are talking with them. Such characteristics are sometimes exhibited by the impersonalist class of men, and they may captivate some innocent persons who have no knowledge of the science of devotional service. However, as soon as an experienced devotee sees all of these caricatures, he can immediately evaluate such rascaldom. If such a pretender is sometimes seen possessing imitative attachment to Krishna, that will not be accepted as real attachment. It may be said, however, that such attachment is like giving a future hope to the pretender, so they may eventually rise onto the actual platform of pure devotional service. So there's an instance where someone was rolling on the ground in front of the deities, and Prabhupada was asked, "What should we do?" And Prabhupada said, "Kick him." Because he was just putting on the show. This imitative attachment can be divided into two headings, namely shadow attachment and para, or transcendental attachment. If someone, without undergoing the regulated principles of devotion or service, or without being guided by a bona fide spiritual master, shows such imitative attachment, it is called shadow attachment. Sometimes it is found that a person actually attached to material enjoyment or salvation has the good fortune to associate with pure devotees while they're engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord. By the good grace of the Lord, one may also cooperate and join in the chanting. At that time, simply by the association of such pure devotees, the moon-like rays from their hearts reflect on him, and by the influence of the pure devotees, he may show some likeness of attachment caused by inquisitiveness. That means they're curious, but this is flickering. And if by the manifestation of such shadow attachment, one feels the disappearance of all material pangs, then it is called para, which means transcendental. So you understand the two types of imitative attachment. One is when one has no association with pure devotees, they're just basically imitating someone. And the other one, that's the type of shadow attachment. Another type is the para type, transcendental type, is when one experiences things because of association with pure devotees, and he's inquisitive, and he's sincere. That person's attachment can actually later on lead to real Krishna consciousness. So such shadow attachment or para attachment can develop only by associating with a pure devotee or by visiting holy places. Only. By associating with a pure devotee, visiting holy places like Vrindavan or Mathura, or if an ordinary man develops such attachment for Krishna and fortunately performs devotional activities in the association of pure devotees, he could also rise up to the platform of pure devotional service. The conclusion is that transcendental attachment is so powerful that if such attachment is seen manifested even in some common man, by the association of a pure devotee can bring one to the perfectional stage. But such attachment for Krishna cannot be invoked in a person without his being sufficiently blessed by the association. It's okay.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. It's no problem. I was once like that. Cannot be invoked in a person without his being sufficiently blessed by the association of pure devotees. So the whole key is, without the association of pure devotees, whatever you do is not going to really get you to the transcendental platform. That's the only reason, the only way. Why? Because as described by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Krishna himself doesn't give bhakti. You can go to Krishna for lifetimes and he's not going to give you bhakti. The only way Krishna can give you bhakti is if he sends a devotee, Brahmanda Brahmate Konda Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Bhai Bhakti Beach. By the mercy of Krishna, one gets Guru, and by the mercy of Guru, one gets Krishna. So one has to really remember this. I was reading today, 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, about Lord Rishabhadev's. Lord Rishabhadev is such an interesting personality. Instructions to his sons. And basically, one of the instructions was basically that Mahatseva Mahur Vimuktes Tamodwaram Yoshitam Sanghi Sangam, that by associating with pure devotees, that's the door, dwaram, to going back to Godhead. That's actually the trick. And like we see, Prabhupada came to the Western world where people had no experience of Krishna consciousness. And by his association and being attached to Prabhupada, they actually became devotees. Whereas we see in India, people are very confused about God. You know, they know about Krishna, they watch the Ramayana, they watch the Mahabharata on TV, like everybody. But very few actually develop that bhakti. It's really interesting, unless they actually come in contact with a pure devotee. So anyway, so that's the key. I'm going to say something else about that, which is quite interesting. Anyway, so we see the Prabhupada was like a touchstone. So you get attached to a pure devotee, and then automatically you get bhakti. And oh yeah, I was going to talk about how a discussion I had with one of my disciples in the United States. He's actually Indian-bodied. He's a Gujarati. I was calling him up to find out if he has any friends in Sydney to help us with the temple. And he's looking around, he has relatives in Sydney. So I was calling him up, and he was just saying, he was criticizing other Gujaratis. He said, they just waste their money and time with this Swami Narayan stuff, you know. And he's of the same caste and everything like that. There's always people doing that. And I was thinking, wow, how wonderful it is that he's actually broken away even from his family tradition, you know, which is, you know, worshiping either Swami Narayan or Pushti Marg or something like that. And actually, he's just like absorbed in Radha and Krishna. He's a motel owner too. And so he's quite unique. Sundar Gopal, you met Sundar Gopal, right? No. Yeah, he runs a motel, not near us, very far away. Anyway, so I was thinking, it's by Prabhupada's association, he's gotten that bhakti. And he's so absorbed. I mean, he sends, you know, because I know many motel owners, they come to the temple once a year on Janmashtami. And, you know, it's like a traditional thing, which is good. I mean, they have some attraction for Krishna. But the deep attraction for Krishna only comes about when one actually contacts a devotee like Srila Prabhupada. And so you see with the devotees in ISKCON, I mean, it's not criticizing anyone from outside of ISKCON, obviously, because they may have bona fide gurus too. But the devotees in ISKCON, there's certain taste to them, certain bhava that they have, the ones that actually are attached to Prabhupada. And so that's what we hanker for, the association of such devotees who are connected to his divine grace, Srila Prabhupada. Because you can actually experience Prabhupada through those who are attached to Prabhupada. It's quite interesting. Like I was also having a discussion with one of my disciples, nameless because she's here, about the Ritvic philosophy today. Anyway, I'll mention who it was. So, I won't mention your name. So anyway, so there was some discussion as to like where to get your books from. Because there's people who are, let's say, anyway, we're not going to say, we will say, Ritvics, who have their own books, which are basically the original books that Srila Prabhupada published without any, the modern day editing. So I was making the point that, even if, let's say, I were to theoretically accept that those books are better than ones that I'm not going to get into the whole controversy because I get in trouble for that. I do like those older books better, but still, to connect with Prabhupada, we connect with Prabhupada's BBT, buying the books from Prabhupada's BBT, because Prabhupada stressed again. So in this way, this is what I'm thinking practically all the time about how to connect to Prabhupada, to connect people to Prabhupada, to connect my activities, to connect the finances to Prabhupada. Like if someone gives me a donation, it goes into ISKCON. So I'm just thinking like that. So then I understand Prabhupada's instructions about the BBT and how the BBT is Prabhupada's heart. Those of us who were devotees in the early days, just before any of you appeared in this material world, before you fell down from with those of us who were devotees in the early days, it was just like drilled into us about the BBT and Prabhupada's heart, and that every penny that went to the BBT was going to Prabhupada's heart. And Prabhupada actually drilled that into us too. So that's why I was discussing, when you buy your books, because it connects us to Prabhupada, even though we may think that another edition is better for one reason or another. It's just like the money goes to Prabhupada. And even though it's more expensive, it goes to Prabhupada. So it's just like that whole connection with Prabhupada really inspires, instills, stimulates your bhakti. I mean, at least that's my experience. Regardless of which guru we have, and I'm not speaking Ritvik philosophy, which also we talked about today. There's so many problems with Ritvik philosophy. First of all, it's against Prabhupada's instructions. Secondly, it's an apasampradaya. Thirdly, it is based on offending actual Vaishnavas who are qualified for serving, for acting in that capacity. For example, I look at my godbrothers like Gopal Krishna Maharaj, and he's an inspiration of bhakti and devotion to Prabhupada. So when I see what he's doing, sacrificing his life in spite of having Parkinson's disease, he can hardly move. I mean, just today, I saw some picture of him. He just went to Punjab, drove to Punjab to do a program, and it's the same program that Gauramani was at. I'm just thinking, so much sacrifice. And that sacrifice is bhakti, the connection to Prabhupada. And that, for whatever connection I have, whatever ecstasy, but I don't have ecstasy. What is it called? Bhava Rog. Attachment to the material world. But anyway, so whatever is there is because I'm thinking, pleasing Prabhupada and connecting to Prabhupada. So sometimes that means spending more money for books. So anyway, so I thought it was an important point. Usually I bring in things that happen during the day into class. So here's another, wow. As attachment can be invoked by the association of pure devotees, so attachment can also be extinguished by committing offense at the lotus feet of pure devotees. So in other words, let me continue with this. To be more clear, by the association of pure devotees, attachment for Krishna can be aroused, but if one commits offenses at the lotus feet of a devotee, his shadow attachment or para attachment can even, like the shadow attachment, can be extinguished. This extinguishing is like the waning moon, in which gradually decreases and at last becomes darkness. One should therefore be very careful while associating with pure devotees to guard against committing an offense at their lotus feet. So that's the first offense on chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, blaspheming the devotees of the Lord, or even to think something negative about the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So very, very dangerous. And Prabhupada elsewhere describes that one's attachment becomes a second class, third class, or 10th class. And we see that, and then the chanting becomes so difficult. People can't chant their rounds anymore because they've committed offenses. So in other words, if you want to be enthusiastic, attentive while you're chanting rounds, and attentive while you're doing devotional service, then you associate with devotees, and you associate with Prabhupada and other pure devotees who are actually dedicated to serving Prabhupada. So here's more about this. Transcendental attachment, either shadow or para, can be nullified by different degrees of offense at the lotus feet of pure devotees. If the offense is very serious, then one's attachment becomes almost nil. And if the offense is not very serious, one's attachment, here's the statement that I just made, second class or third class. If someone becomes attached to the principles of salvation or to merging into the existence of the Brahmajyoti, his ecstasies gradually diminish into shadow and para attachment, or else transform into the principles of ahangra hashana. So that's like impersonalism, where you identify yourself as the object of worship. Actually, Prabhupada talks about this. This ahangra pasana, describes a living entity when he begins spiritual realization by identifying himself with the Supreme Lord. This state, in other words, you become an impersonalist. Actually, I saw that. I had one of my friends, was a very intelligent friend. So he rejected his spiritual master and went to Radhakund. Okay. And apparently, he was absorbed, Radha, whatever. Very intelligent person. He actually published books from a different country, not from this country, not from America. And so he started associating with one of the Babajis there. Then he was finding fault in the Babaji. And then he went to another Babaji, found fault in that Babaji. And to make a long story short, he became a Buddhist.
His books
Yeah.
are still in circulation, though, right?
What?
His books are still in
Yeah, his books are still in
So
circulation.
they're quite like Robert is going to go his life, his books. What's your opinion of that?
Well, it may not be the same person you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's from Finland.
I think yes.
From Finland. But he actually, he became, and then he was eating meat after a while.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so you see that's the effect. One offense after another. He offended his guru in ISKCON, he offended the Babajis when he was there, and then he just became a meat eater like that. Very, very intelligent person, super intelligent person. So Avartam Jnanam 18, his knowledge was covered. Prabhupada said this state of self-realization technical. The manas thinks himself one with the Supreme Lord. Thus, without differentiating between himself and the Supreme Lord, it is his view that by worshiping himself, he's worshiping the Supreme Whole. You go to the mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who is God? Sometimes it is found that a neophyte is taking part in chanting and dancing very enthusiastically, but within himself he is under the impression that he has become one with the Supreme Whole. You see this actually in the beginning days in the kirtans that Prabhupada had 26 Second Avenue. The people were actually thinking they were just merging into the energy or the oneness. This conception of monism is completely different from pure devotional service. If, however, it is seen that a person has developed a high standard of devotion without having undergone even the regulated principles, it is to be understood that his status of devotional service was achieved in a former life. So you can see that with many people who join the movement. all of a sudden, they know the philosophy, they're preaching Krishna consciousness. In the early days, it was quite common to have people like that. Like, people like Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Gopal Krishna Maharaj. Not me. I was the rascal. But anyway, so they joined the movement, and all of a sudden, they were prominent devotees within 2 or 3 years or 1 year of joining the Hare Krishna movement. So, and actually I see that sometimes nowadays too. Someone joins and seems like they understand everything very, very nicely. For some reason, actually in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about that. Arjuna asks the question, what is the destination of someone who desists or doesn't reach perfection in his process of devotional service? Is he just lost like some rent cloud? There's the example that Arjuna uses in the Gita. And of course, Krishna answers, one who's done good is never overcome by evil, etc., like that. And then Krishna discusses what happens if someone is a little advanced. Let's say you just joined the Hare Krishna movement and you take an initiation, but you're still pretty neophyte. You're still just worshiping the deity in the temple, and the other devotees, they're okay. But you don't understand, see Krishna in their hearts. So then, even then, as long as you don't commit offense, you go to the heavenly planets. John. So at least you're all assured of going to the heavenly planets. And seeing all the apsaras dance. Which you lady would be interested in that. So anyway, so you go to the heavenly planets, and then the next birth after that, because you've made some advancement, you take birth in a rich family, which is good in one respect, or in a family of transcendentalists. Krishna says such a birth is very rare in a family of transcendentalists. So rich family is good too, because you get the opportunity to take up Krishna consciousness. You don't have to worry about your economic situation. And so I was born in a rich family, but somehow or other I didn't have to worry about money. So anyway, so these are the two types of people who have some devotional service in the past. And you see that, sometimes people are extremely attached. They know the philosophy without reading the books, and they're natural devotees. For some reason or other, it's been temporarily stopped, most probably by committing offense at the lotus feet of a devotee. Now, with good second chance, it has again begun to develop. The conclusion is that so another point, this is a story about Prabhupada. There was a devotee who left his body under not such nice circumstances. And the devotee said to Prabhupada, he'll get another chance to perform devotional service because, you don't lose. You don't lose whatever advancement you're making. You take up from the next point in the next life, from that point in the next life. So Prabhupada said, yes, that's true. But this life, he didn't perfect himself. So who's to say that he will actually choose devotional service in the next life? So it's not guaranteed. You may think, let me be a little complacent. It's many lifetimes we have. So let me just eat any damn thing. Actually, Prabhupada said my disciples eat any damn thing. So I'm just following Prabhupada's instructions. So let me just eat any damn thing and watch a lot of Bollywood movies or whatever movies you like to watch. And, be a little lax in devotional service because I'm guaranteed to take another birth and guaranteed to get an opportunity, but you may not take that opportunity. You didn't take it fully in this lifetime. So who's to say you're going to do it in this life and next lifetime? The conclusion is that steady progress in devotional service can be attained only in the association of pure devotees. Again, Prabhupada makes that point. Rupa Goswami makes that point. If one can gradually advance his status in devotional service It is to be understood that it is due to the causeless mercy of Krishna himself. If a person is completely detached from material enjoyment and has developed pure ecstatic devotion, even if he is sometimes accidentally found not to be living up to the standard of devotional service, one should not be envious of him. In other words, you don't criticize a devotee for accidental deviation. There's different ways you can commit offenses. I'm giving you the methodology so you know how to commit offenses. You don't criticize a devotee for past sinful activities. Like, I knew you when you were smoking ganja, right? Well, Adi Purusha, you know, he was a pure soul. I told his parents, I said, we saved him. Right? He said, really? I thought he was as pure as the snow. I said, you didn't know your son. Because they keep pressuring me to tell him to surrender to them rather than to me. You know, it's like conflict of interest, Prabhu. I want you to talk to him. Tell him to chill out.
Still.
And then, yes, still. And then his mother says, don't tell him. You spoke with me. And so I immediately go to him and said, you know, guess who I just spoke to? Anyway, so you know, so anyway, getting back to the point. So you can criticize a devotee for the past, what they did in the past, for accidental deviation. Accidental means not premeditated. You know, premeditated means planning ahead. That's another thing. Accidentally means you may walk by a cake shop and see your favorite chocolate cake. And then you're just like, oh, got to do it. You just, oh my God, I just did it. I saw you in the chocolate shop. So anyway, that's nothing wrong with chocolate. I used to eat chocolate too, as a devotee. So anyway, so that's accidental, or even the present remnants of past sinful activities, you know, what's called corrupted karma, like some disease that someone has. So these are the methods that people use to criticize Vaishnavas. Like that. You were just a karmi before. You can't be a guru. Well, I mean, even if you look at someone like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's background, I mean, he was eating meat before. And he was pretty much dedicated to Christianity more than anything in India. And he read Chani and so many Western philosophers and Western Christians. And he liked the idea of what? Monotheism. Because what he had been exposed to in India was not monotheistic, that means one God. He had been exposed to the, you know, whatever people believe in India. Well, everything, yeah. Everything goes, the gods. Go to the temple, there's the gods. And they don't even know what demigods are, but they're the gods. So, anyway, so we have to be careful about criticizing devotees, any devotees, even neophyte devotees, we don't criticize. We have to be very, very careful. Because even though they may forgive us, Prabhupada said, the dust of their feet may not forgive us. Oh my God. So one should not be envious of him. It is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that a devotee who has unflinching faith and devotion to the Lord, even if he is sometimes found to be accidentally deviated from pure devotional characteristics, should still be counted. That doesn't mean continually or premeditatively deviating, just the accident, should still be counted amongst the pure. Unflinching faith in devotional service to the Lord Krishna, the spiritual master, makes one highly elevated in the activities of devotional service. This is the key. You know that verse? Yasha? No one knows the verse? Yasha Devi Kora Bhakti Thakuru Kashyate Katata Yata Prakashante Mahatmana. One who has complete faith in the spiritual master, Vedic literatures, then everything is revealed to that person. So everything is conditioned upon faith. Remember the other day, oops, come in. We talked about the difference between faith and belief. Faith we described as the implicit conviction. Remember we used the word conviction?
Yeah.
That if you do what Krishna wants and what the Guru wants, then everything will be accomplished. Your goals will be achieved. And belief means just to believe, hey, he's a good Guru. Or Jesus Christ, as we gave the example the other day. Jesus Christ is the Son of God. I believe in Jesus Christ. Believe and you'll be saved. He died for my sins. You know, I can imagine my disciples just like after I pass away is, wow, let's party. Guru Maharaj died for my sins. I'll come back and haunt you. I'll make you die for your sins. You know, anyway. So it's the faith, the trust. You know, one has that trust, then automatically they act nicely. Like you see, you know, we're talking about this thing with Prabhupada's PPT. You know, I have this, you know, whatever other characters I may have, I just have this faith in Prabhupada. And the Shinga Purana is stated, if a person has completely engaged his mind, body, and activities in the service of the Lord, and externally he is found to be engaged in some abominable activities, these abominable activities will surely be very quickly vanquished by the influence of his staunch devotional force. The example is given that on the full moon there are some spots which may appear to be pockmarks. Still, the illumination spread by the full moon cannot be checked. That reminds me of a story. Krishna's pastimes. He said, Radharani, your face is look beautiful like the moon. And she said, what, do you think I have pockmarks on my face? She got angry. Still, yes. Similarly, a little fault in the midst of volumes of devotional service is not at all to be counted as fault. Attachment for Krishna's transcendental bliss. Amidst unlimited volumes of transcendental bliss, a spot of some material defect cannot act in any way. Of course, that also gives us everyone hope here, you know, because we all understand, looking in our hearts, that there's some little or big thing in our hearts, and it's just like, wow, I just have to have faith in Krishna and Srila Prabhupada and the Vaishnavas. Okay. Now we're going to get more intense. So the next chapter is called chapter 19, which comes after 18. Devotional service and love of God. So when we first started these classes, we talked about ecstatic love, ecstatic ecstasy, devotional service and ecstasy. And now we're talking about prema. So there's bhava. Remember, first class we gave here, we talked about bhava, the different types of bhava. Vibhava, Anubhava, Satvika Bhava, Vyavachari Bhava, and Sthai Bhava. And you can read Nectar of Devotion. I encourage you all to study this Nectar of Devotion. Prabhupada said this Nectar of Devotion is the law book for our Christian consciousness movement. So this is called devotional service and love of God, prema. When one's desire to love Krishna in his particular relationship becomes intensified, in other words, one has already understood what their relationship, what their rasa is. Shanta, Dasha, Satya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. That understanding comes prema. It actually can come, at least the glimpse, when you get to nishta. Nishta means steadiness in devotional service, 24/7 steadiness, not just steadiness in the morning. So that's when it becomes further intensified. And sometimes the example is used of sugarcane juice. You cook it down more and more and more. It finally becomes like crystallized. And that's the perfection, if you like sugar, of sugarcane juice. In the beginning, a devotee is engaged in the regulated principle of devotional service by the order of a spiritual master. When one thereby becomes completely purified of all material contamination, there develops an attachment and taste for devotional service. This taste and attachment, when gradually intensified in the course of time, becomes love. The word love is a big one, can only be actually applied in relationship with the personality of Godhead. In the material world, love is not applicable at all. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So you married people. No, when it's centered on Krishna, then we can love other people in this world, because then we can actually exhibit love because we know what's best for them and we can help them and dedicate our lives to helping them. So anyway, but generally, let me continue this. What goes on in the name of love in the material world is nothing but lust. There's a gulf of difference between love and lust, like the difference between gold and iron. So I often give the example of someone who has a pet, like a pet cat or something like that. And I just really love my pet. I remember I had a pet cat when I was young. We'd cuddle her and everything like that. Oh. So it's just really, it's warm and fuzzy. So anyway, but then I gave the example, if I were to do the Hare Krishna thing with her, I would give sikas to brahmacharis. So if I would take we'll call it buzzer, and all over here, and leave the sika, the tail. The tail's a secret. Natural secret. And and no fuzzy, warm, fuzzy, furry, like that. Yuck. Like that. So it's just like, it's because of what I get out of, because the cat satisfies my senses. Whereas there's another living entity. Like this morning, we had another living entity in the house. Yeah. A cute little rat. So I was like upstairs chanting, and all of a sudden I heard, ah! I didn't hear, isn't that cute? So, but the rat has just as much right to live, as much feelings as the cat does, isn't it? So a devotee, vidya vidya sampane brahmani gaviyasani shuri chaiva sapaki cha pandita samadarshana. He actually sees all these living entities equally, and he loves the cat and he loves the rat. Of course we don't. When I was young, we had a pet rat, so yeah.
I didn't have a pet rat, but also a pet cat. Wouldn't you pet the rat?
At different times.
Oh.
And the rat was in a cage anyway. But the problem is, one time we had a pet cat and a pet parakeet. And that was a big problem, because the cat would climb up to the cage. Yeah, try to torture the parakeet. So anyway. So anyway, so it's just like, I'm trying to enjoy someone. That's the point. That's what lust is. Lust doesn't mean only like a romantic thing, you know, Valentine's Day stuff. It's like anytime I try to enjoy something, I see something or someone as an object rather than a subject. See, a devotee, that's paradukkha dukhi. He or she sees someone as a subject. That means more concerned with the other than you're concerned with yourself. And that's real love for other living entities. Whereas someone who's not Krishna conscious sees someone as an object of their enjoyment. You know, there's an attractive, handsome man with the muscles. Isn't it? And the men, they get married to what? Trophy wives. Isn't it? He's like, if they could show them, you know what that means? They show off.
Yeah.
Like there was a previous president of the United States who did that.
Yeah.
She doesn't even like him. So, but she likes it, you know, she got all the prestige and became famous and everything. So, in the Narada Pancharatra, it is clearly stated that when lust is completely transferred to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the concept of kinship is completely reposed in him, such is accepted as pure love of God by great authorities like Bhishma, Prahlad, Uddhava, and Narada. That doesn't mean we lust after Krishna. I mean, that's not pure love. I mean, when you had Kubja lusting after Krishna, that wasn't pure love, but Krishna was so kind, he transformed that. So that we have to make sure you understand that that's not pure love. When you lust at, see Krishna as someone to satisfy your senses. A great authority like Bhishma has explained that love of God means completely giving up all so-called love for any other person. And of course, Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atmane Vanapashati Sarvabhutesha Chatmanam Tatovani Navi Gupshate. You see everyone connected to Krishna, you water the root of the tree, and then you don't hate anyone, and then you can love everyone. But it has to be based on love for Krishna. According to Bhishma, love means to repose one's affection completely upon one person, withdrawing all affinities for any other person. This pure love can be transferred to the Supreme Personality of Godhead under two conditions: out of ecstasy and out of the causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. And that causeless mercy, I'm just going to add something, then we can take a few questions. That causeless mercy comes through Krishna's pure devotees. So, any questions? Yes, Scott.
So yesterday you were saying how the feet is like the dirtiest part of the body. Then why do the disciples touch their spiritual master's feet instead of their head or something?
That's an interesting question. Because it shows a humble way of approaching the spiritual master and approaching Krishna. Krishna's feet are not dirty.
Yeah.
And hopefully the spiritual master cleans his feet every day. At least once. Especially after parikrama. But it means approaching someone in a very humble way. Like if I start, if you or I, anyone starts kicking people with their feet, that means we think we're superior to them. It's not necessarily the dirtiest part of the body. I mean, the mouth is considered pretty dirty in the Vedic system. It's not necessarily the dirtiest, but I guess spiritually or etiquette-wise, it's considered the lowest portion. So when we approach Krishna or the pure devotee, we take a very humble position.
Right.
And that's why we touch the feet first.
Okay.
And Krishna's devotee, in turn, touches your head. There's two reasons for touching the head. One reason is blessings, and another one is to give you back the karma you gave me. Touch his feet. I always do that when someone touches me. Okay. you got your karma back. So yeah, so it isn't really the dirtiest part. It's like the lowest part of the body,
Right.
the most humble part. And so it's basically traditional.
Okay.
It's traditional, of course, in the West. It's a different thing. Okay, good question. Who else has a question? Yes.
So nowadays it's really hard to ascertain who is a good devotee or a pure devotee. So my question is, if
It's actually quite easy.
okay, good, I'll ask you how. So might it be enough to just associate with books?
No, it's not enough. Because what the books say, you gotta look for a devotee to associate.
Yeah.
If you associate with the books and the books say one thing, and you say, no, I don't want to do that, I just want to associate with you, the book, then you're not really accepting the book.
Yeah.
So, sadhu sang, anyway, what does that say? We have a Sankirtan. Sankirtan means the congregational chanting or congregational hearing. Satam prasangam mama virya samvara. Prabhupada actually describes that Krishna Katha becomes more relishable and more potent in the association of devotees. So anyway, so the question is, how can you identify someone who's advanced? My answer to that is that person is most dedicated to his spiritual master. You can't judge by how many symptoms of ecstasy or, whether they play guitar or not, or how many mobile phones they have. Or how they look. You see how much their life is focused. There's that principle of faith, Yasha Devi Bhaktir, how much their life is focused on pleasing their spiritual master. So therefore, that's the objective way I can prove that Prabhupada was the most advanced devotee. Because many of his godbrothers, and you've heard this argument before, many of Prabhupada's godbrothers, they received the same instruction from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They spoke English to go to the Western world. And who was the one who took that most seriously? It was Prabhupada. So that's objective. Other things are subjective. How much ecstasy someone's showing. Or how many stories one tells about the Rasa Lila or Govardhan. Oh, it's a nice story about Govardhan today in Hanuman. Govardhan. Anyway, so these things are all subjective, and we don't know what's going on in the heart. But actually, we can see what's going on in the heart by how focused someone is. Samitpani Shrojayam Brahmanishtam. Samitpani means basically fetching water or firewood for the spiritual master. Shrojayam, who has heard from his spiritual master, Brahmanishtam doesn't fall down. I mean, these are standards given in Vedic literatures. So basically what I use, I mean, just like the last few days, I'm glorifying Gopal Krishna Maharaj. Why am I glorifying him? Not because he leads the most ecstatic kirtan, and I'm sure he does, but I mean, that's really, to me, that's not really significant. But because he's so focused on serving Prabhupada in that condition, he's not giving up. To me, that's pure devotional service right there. Right? Described in the Bhagavatam. That it's undeterred in every circumstance, and there's no reason for it other than pleasing Prabhupada. I mean, just look at someone like that. It inspires me tremendously. I become inspired by devotees who are so focused like that on the spiritual master. I mean, Prabhupada or second generation or third generation, whatever. But to me, that's a good devotee. That's an advanced devotee. And that devotee, I want the association of. So that is objective. You can tell. other things you can't. I mean, obviously, there's certain things you can't tell whether someone has realized their spiritual identity. I mean, generally, if someone's realized their spiritual identity, they're not going to go around saying, I just realized I'm a My name is prema nama saki. Yeah, so I just realized I'm a cow. You know, obviously, that's objective in my mind. So that's why, you know, I look at Prabhupada and it's just like, there's no doubt. Isn't it? Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chiche Ke Koriyakya. Wow. I can't have any doubts. I look at Gopal Krishna Maharaj again. And, you know, other God brothers too, you know, Tamal Krishna Maharaj and others too. I like to see. Wow. Isn't it? Sacrificing their lives. Wow. I just get so impressed and it inspires me, and that helps my Krishna consciousness. You become inspired by devotees, and even more so than Krishna, because Krishna, I mean, Krishna's, you know, it's so elevated, Krishna's pastimes. You know, I like Krishna's pastimes, like he steals butter, feeds it to monkeys, all that other stuff. But I get more inspired by Krishna's devotees than by Krishna, because that's bhakti. Okay. So one more question, or we can. Yeah.
It's like a devotee who is, you know, associated with the Babaji, and then you affiliate with the Baba.
Yeah.
And then you affiliate with the Babaji. So how one protect himself?
Just be very careful to serve. Well, I don't want to. But just be very careful to think about what Prabhupada, what your Guru Maharaj would want. You know, and just like I respect the Babaji's, you know, I'm not going to criticize them. There's so many of them that are really great, pure devotees of the Lord. But Prabhupada didn't want us to associate with them. It's all right, it's fine. Prabhupada didn't want it. It's good enough for me. Not going to do it. That's Guru Nishta right there. And that's really what we're looking for, that Guru Nishta. You understand Guru Nishta? So, yes, so when you go to the Holy Dham, you think, what would Prabhupada want me to do in this particular circumstance? Would Prabhupada want me to put a sari on and start dancing? I'm sure it would impress all of you. The Guru Maharaj, wow, he's really cool. One day you come down with lipstick, earrings. Yeah, so I'm sure some of the boys in Serbia would love it, right? But anyway, I mean, I just think, you know, Prabhupada wouldn't want it, even if I wanted to dress in drag one day. So, okay. So on that happy note.
Gurudev, there's a question online from Abhay Chaitanya.
Uh-oh, what do you say?
How can one increase their faith in Krishna so it is not only belief but faith with conviction?
By association with devotees who have faith, and that increases the faith. You know, just like I say, when I see these devotees who are so dedicated to Prabhupada's mission, increases my faith. You know, by observation of people, certain people, you know, devotee people. And that increases my faith. And, you know, also by personal experiences, how you see, and sometimes it's in retrospect, you see how Krishna arranges things and does things for you. You know, how you know, Krishna's like playing chess on a master chessboard. you know, and you don't know how he's moving you and moving everybody else. And that increases the faith. And also by having certain spurties. You know what a spurti is?
Yes.
A spurti is like a vision, experience like that. Like, wow. Let's say if I was to look at Kanda and see Krishna in the heart, that would be a spurti. Instead, I just see Tommy in the heart. So that's a spurti. That sort of thing actually increases. And people, and Krishna does that. Sometimes he just like, it's like Banki Bihari. You know Banki Bihari? Sometimes he opens the curtains for a second. And then he doesn't open them again. Like Narada Muni, when he saw Krishna once, and he said, "You're not going to see me again, Prabhu." That's more than spurti anyway. But this all of a sudden you look at Vrindavan and then you see it the way it actually is, and then all of a sudden, then again it closes and you see a bunch of pigs and monkeys. That's a spurt. So, we all have those experiences from time to time. I think everybody has those experiences. So wow. And then you try to get it back and it doesn't come back. Like you go to a Mangalarti, you said, wow. Next morning, oh, it's not coming back. You try to squeeze it back, and isn't it? You go, Hare Krishna, samsara dhamma. And that whole experience where you actually realize what you're chanting, and you just connect with the deities. Next morning, it's just like, oh my God, what am I doing here? Anyway, so it's those experiences from time to time that Krishna gives you. Okay, time to end. Thank you very much. All glories to His divine grace. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, we had a lot of questions online. Yeah, take it. Shub. Okay, yes, I can accept you as a disciple. Just write to me, write email. You want me to do that? I don't know if it's due to a curse by a rishi that the water is salty. Okay, Shub, don't worry. Just write to me. Write to me. I'm just typing in my WhatsApp information. That's my WhatsApp information. Copy it down. Yeah, quick question, Coralila. Quick, because it's time for Prashadam. Just, you want to ask it by speaking? Sorry, I could let you speak. Okay, you're going what time tomorrow? Okay, so okay. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the chair.
Hare Krishna Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, that was very nice. Yes, sure. I accept you as a disciple. So, okay, we have to go.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay, Gurudev. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
All right, you have a question? Just ask it real quickly. I'm allowing you to unmute yourself. I can't hear you because
No, that's fine,
Noisy.
Gurudev. I'll send a message
It's not
on
gonna
WhatsApp.
work because I can't hear you. It's too noisy.
Yeah.
All right, just write it.